Ndeese ensonga eno olwaleero mu palamenti ey'olulimi olukuma omuliro mu bantu oluleeta n'okwawukanya abantu nga twesigama ku mawanga. Neŋŋamba nti ensonga eno nkulu nnyo, eyinza okuviirako abantu okutiŋŋana. Nzize nga nsindika summons nga mpita abakulembeze bempulira nga bakuma omuliro mu bantu nga boogera ebikaawo. So neŋŋamba olwaleero nga bwe ŋŋenda okulabikako mu kakiiko kano aka palamenti, ensonga eno kankozesa omukisa guno ngibategeezeeko, kubanga mu bantu abo be tuzze tuyita mulimu n'ababaka ba palamenti. Nga bwe nagambye bamemba b'akakiiko ako nti omu ku babaka ba palamenti bwe namuyita alabikeko mu ofiisi yaffe, yajja ekyokuwerekerwako banne si kikyamu, yajja awerekeddwako banne, naye embeera gye yagiramu yatulaga nti oba akagambo defiant nkwogere ntya mu Luganda, kidde ebirabo ebikambwe era ebirabo ebyo natereka bitereke, nina we nabisibira mu ofiisi omwo. Ebirabo bye yandeetera zaali t-shirt 2 nga ziriko obubaka ate obwongera okukuma omuliro mu bantu. N'aŋŋamba t-shirt zino twakafulumyako 3,000, tubuzaayo 5,000 mu kyuma ze twasasulako deposit zivaayo. So saawa yonna zivaayo. So nzigabi. So naye tulina amateeka agatutwala nga banansi, tulina ssemateeka. Mu ssemateeka mulimu kye tuyita national objectives and directive principles of the country, nga mu ssemateeka obubaka obulimu nti wadde tulina amawanga agasukka mu 6 naye nga tuli muntu omu nga Munnayuganda. So ngambye nti ensonga eno kangituuse mu babaka. So bye bitundu nga 23 ku buli 100. So ate bw'ogeraageranya obukiiko obwatondebwawo ssemateeka, akaafu ke kalina emirimu emingi. Yes. So embeera eyo yeraliikiriza mbi nnyo. Tosobola kubeera n'ekyamaanyi nnyo kyokola nga ssente ezikuweereddwa bitundu 23 ku buli 100. Edda kirungi nti ogambye nti be bagamba nti bakyabuze. Twagala tunoonye abantu abaabula, so si abagambibwa nti baabula. Naye twakola okunoonyereza okwo, tulina we twakoma, ebyavaamu twabyanika mu lujjudde. Bwe mbadde mu kakiiko ka palamenti mbawadde ekyokulabirako. Neŋŋamba nze mbaddewo siri mwana muto. Mu myaka gye7 nali natandika okusoma mu primary school ewaffe gye nzaalibwa e Bulambuuli. Bishop waffe owa Church of Uganda oba njogere kisimanyi kuba amaanyi agampeebwa nti bano be b'eŋŋanda z'abantu abo abaabula nga tebaagala na kwogera naffe. So kati kikuwa okubuusabuusa nti abantu abo ddala baabula oba ono katemba. So mu kulaba okwange bwe ndaba eneeyisa y'abali n'endaba ne famire ya Bishop Wasikye, kati twamubbulamu n'oluguudo. Omulambo gwe tetwagulabako ne tusalawo nti awa katukungubagire ku luguudo ne tumubbulamu. Oluguudo luli awo Bishop Wasikye Road. So bwe ndaba bano bo eneeyisa yaabwe ne batutambuza ne batwetoolooza ne batuvuma n'otuvuma, nze ndeka olaba. So naye ate abamu ku abo be twasanga bagamba naye ffe bulijjo weetuli wano tetubulangawo. Kati nze nkole ki? Nnoonye ntya? Bye nasobola okuzuula byebyo nabyanjula mu lukiiko lw'amawulire. Contribution towards the many achievements Uganda has registered in the human rights plenary is highly commended and recognized, for which we thank you. The aforesaid notwithstanding, there has been a human rights issue that is of concern to us, which I wish to bring to your attention. Honorable Chairperson and members, as you are aware, Uganda has a multiplicity of ethnicities. The Constitution recognizes at least 65 distinct ethnic groups. Unfortunately, some leaders and other prominent members of society are increasingly using this to create division in our society. These sentiments can very easily incite violence and hate crimes, which is undesired. We have embarked on a campaign against this evil act. To this end, we have been summoning leaders who engage in such divisive talk. It is the wish of the Commission to step up this campaign through local media and physical engagements with elected leaders, religious leaders, cultural leaders, and others at various levels. If this continues, we may hold formal public hearings and pass declaratory judgments against the culprits. I'm talking about name and shame here. Indeed, some of the leaders we summoned are honorable members of parliament over this issue. Funding of the commission. The non-funding vessels for the commission are two: Government of Uganda and development partners. Under Government of Uganda, government is duty-bound to fully finance Uganda Human Rights Commission to execute its constitutional duty. However, the Commission budget over a long period of time has been miserably low to meet the growing human rights demands of this country. The wage, non-wage, and development budgetary provisions have never been close to even half of what we need to provide meaningful human rights promotion and protection. For instance, in financial year 2021-2022, the Commission budget planned requirement was 72.227 billion shillings, but only 20.897 billion shillings, that is 29%, was provided by government. In financial year 2022-2023, our required budget was 78.81 billion shillings, but only 20.636 billion shillings, that is 26%, was provided. In the last financial year, government provided this financial year, the provision reduced further to 23% against a requirement of shillings 84.2 billion, just 19, a little above 19 billion was provided. Under staff salaries, over the last 10 years, the Commission has been grappling with low and uncompetitive pay for our employees, which has had far-reaching negative effects on service delivery. I will always remind this honorable committee that currently a director and manager at our commission earns a monthly gross salary of Uganda shillings 3,977,716 shillings and Uganda shillings 3.6 respectively. This is inconceivably incomparable to sister institutions like Uganda Law Reform Commission, which pays a commissioner at the level of a director at the commission 12 million shillings and an assistant commissioner at the level of our commission manager. Uganda shillings, together we shall find a lasting solution to this perennial problem. Therefore, I'm here pleading for an additional wage funding of Uganda shillings 3.756 billion to cure the salary disparities of my staff once and for all. For financial year 2023-2024, in the current year, out of a total budget of shillings 19.572 billion, the Commission was allocated 400 million shillings for the core activities of protecting and promoting human rights. This was after allocating to the bare minimum the required provision for wage 7.595 billion shillings and non-wage recurrent fixed costs that amounted to 11.046 billion and development retooling project of only 531 million shillings. This funding is too insufficient to implement and sustain any impactful interventions. We allocated the available 400 million shillings to 3 Human rights observance strategic pillars as follows. Complaints management across the entire country, 100 million shillings. Research and civic education, what some people spend on just one meeting, 150 million shillings. Monitoring and reporting, 150 million shillings. We investigate an average of 200 cases a year, which would therefore take us 7 years to clear our current caseload, assuming that no new cases are registered. Yet they are registered every day. This is without factoring in the human resource and other needs, such as the poor mechanical condition of our fleet. At the tribunal level, we began the year with a caseload of 1,750 cases. Through our tribunal hearings, sitting as a panel of the chairperson and at least 3 members since February last year, with the support of funding from the justice, law and order sector, we have had almost 200 cases and decided 90 of them. This represents a disposal rate of 45% of the cases heard in 2023. Chairperson and members, we are committed and have the technical capacity to deliver on this mandate, but remain challenged by the inadequacy and sometimes late release of resources. It is our desire to have at least 2 sessions every month, which would enable us to hear 360 cases every year. We would then be able to clear the current caseload within the next 4 years. This performance has an impact on our ranking as a national human rights institution across the globe. Key accomplishments implement the following key activities using the provided funds, of which some have been accomplished. Complaints management. We planned field investigations of 72 complaint files conducted by our 12 regional offices. 113 of them were fully investigated, 134 partially investigated. Under research and civic education, we planned Bill of Rights translation into 10 local languages. 10 local languages we achieved to translate the Bill of Rights into Lugungu, Tururi, Langi, Kinubi, Chope, Rukiga, Nyankole, Kapwa, Fumbi, sexual gender-based violence, and 150 radio talk shows monitoring the human rights situation in refugee settlements in southwestern Uganda. However, we no longer have running agreements with development partners like it used to be in the past years, with the DGF, GIZ, UN agencies like the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, and individual embassies. Honorable Chairperson and members, the last time we were here, I informed you of the impending closure or non-renewal of the mandate of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, and indeed, this office was closed. Bilateral arrangements would be an option, but the conditions imposed on us are impossible to comply with, and this has been worsened by the enactment of the Anti-Homosexuality Act 2023. Budget inadequacy and unfunded human rights areas of intervention. With the aforementioned meager funds, we could not execute the following critical areas of intervention. We failed to conclude 300 cases of alleged human rights violations through tribunal hearings in our 12 regional offices, as had been targeted for the financial year. We could not conclude investigation of 840 backlog cases of alleged human rights violations still in their system, as was targeted. We could not do the countrywide civic and values education, constitutional education, human rights awareness, and knowledge provision on the duties and responsibilities of a citizen. We were unable to participate in key meetings, particularly in Addis Ababa, in Banjul, and Geneva. The Geneva meeting, which took place at the beginning of October 2023, was for the review of our accreditation status by the UN Office of the High Commissioner on Human Rights Global Alliance of National Human Rights Institutions Subcommittee on Accreditation. This was particularly painful. We are likely to lose our A status that we have enjoyed for the last 2 decades due to our non-appearance during accreditation. I should add here that we quote unquote appeared by way of Zoom video link, but that is really so different from face-to-face meeting. We are the only national human rights institution in the world to have failed to attend this meeting in person. We failed to engage with the security agencies on the human rights-based approach to enforcement of various laws, security, and peace. We failed to visit the targeted 500 jails, prisons, and places of detention, or related facilities with a view of assessing and inspecting conditions of inmates and make recommendations to Parliament. We failed to monitor 50 government compliant MDAs and local governments on compliance with international treaty and convention obligations on human rights. All this had been planned, but we failed. We failed to monitor human rights observance for 15 refugee settlement areas and host communities, 200 health facilities, 250 education institutions, 15 extractive industries, etc., and incidences of emergencies that occur from time to time. We failed to monitor all these. We could not monitor 10 large-scale business operations in the country in view of ascertaining compliance with human rights standards. We failed to in provision of equipment required to support implementation of human rights services to the headquarters and 12 regional offices. Equipment, I'm here talking about vehicles, computers, laptops, generators, and furniture. 2023-24 budget. 2020. In the financial year 2024-2025, the Governance and Security Program did not provide additional funds to the Commission. Therefore, allocation for the core activities has remained at shillings 400 million, and subsequent expenditure on protection and promotion of human rights has remained unchanged. Therefore, in summary, we require additional resources as follows. Human rights protection and promotion, 16.04 billion Uganda shillings. Institutional capacity strengthening, 10.5 billion shillings. Honorable Chairperson and members, there is a huge cost associated with underfunding the Commission and failure for the human rights body to execute its constitutional duty. Some of the likely negative impacts to Uganda include a risk of increased lawlessness in the country, especially amongst the youth, due to a knowledge deficit on the Constitution, civic duties, values, and responsibilities. Increase in the prisoner and detainee population as a result of higher crime rates and lawlessness. Recently, when I visited Jinja Main Prison to conduct an inspection visit, I was informed that the congregation levels at that prison stands at 891%. The prison was built for a capacity of 393 prisoners, but currently holds 2,585 prisoners. We also risk losing our A status. We risk loss of confidence and trust by the population in the human rights body with the mandate to promote and protect human rights. The possible likelihood of a drop in the country's international and regional, this is the same as 3, human rights ratings. An increase in case backlog, it's already so bad, but we are likely facing an increase in the case backlog at investigations and tribunal level. A situation where the population does not receive timely justice is undesirable. Justice delayed is justice denied. Uganda's aspirations to attain a middle income status soon are at stake if no funding is increased for the Commission to execute its mandate. we may also fail to achieve our vision as projected in 2040 due to our failure by our population to observe human rights. In conclusion, Madam Chairperson, I have made funding to the Commission before this Parliament, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and other responsible ministries, but with no positive results. It is my humble submission that this state changes. I have also made pleas to various embassies in this country, and the humiliation is unbearable. And we in the end, we got nothing anyway. I say this for God and my country.
Chair, I want to commend the Human Rights Commission. I think I see steps being taken in the right direction. Effort has been made. The previous sittings we have had with the Commission, we started from a situation of lack of quorum. Quorum was attained. We have progressed. I was also so delighted that I was actually on one of the field visits that the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission had. She was in Teso. So I actually bumped on the team from the Human Rights Committee that we can support the commission, because a Human Rights Commission that is not empowered.
And similar sister institutions. And I think this really is what the kind of review that, I mean, these are the arguments that you should put forward. That, I mean, whoever is listening, this must understand. This cannot go on. Madam Chair, you know, you are used to this story. Remember what you sorted out last year, where people in the judiciary, where they get their salaries tax-free. People in the police were getting tax-free. People in the prisons were not taxed, but the lawyers in the DPP, the Director of Public, were being taxed, and you were able competently to sort out that issue. Why don't we find a way to sort out a similar issue like relating to the Uganda Human Rights Commission? If we don't continue, if we leave this way, she will continue losing her staff to other bodies, to Law Reform Commission, to the judiciary, to other sister institutions that are paying better, and they are paying better from the same consolidated fund. I think this is not fair to allow this to continue. That kind of thing. So that's really my concern. The second one is this issue of multiplicity of minorities. I'm just wondering why some people don't see it as a positive thing. Even the Constitution is very clear under Objective Principle 3.1.2. It's very clear that we are encouraged to enjoy our diversity, our unity in diversity. Those who see that diversity as a negative are actually mistaken. This diversity we have in Uganda, 66 ethnic groupings, they bring a lot of unique things to our country. This last Christmas, I was in Kabale, just enjoying the hills and going to pray in a church where they sing in Uchiga, but you don't understand, but you join in. And you know that you are praying to the same God. And you get it. Why would you hate other groups? Of course, for us, Karamaja, we attract the hatred because of what we do to our neighbors. Stealing a goat there, cow there. They don't like us a lot, very much. We are not worried about that because we are the trouble causers anyway. But why would someone wake up in Kampala and hate one group? I think, Madam Chair, you should not only fight alone. I think all of us here in this country should fight that we enjoy this diversity. While being united, appreciate the unique differences. You saw what the Basoga were doing with their, how do you call them? It's a Bantu. It was nice. All of us sat in TVs to watch what was going in Busoga. Yes, yeah. So that really is great. And see others, but why would we want to hate other smaller groups or other groupings because of the difference in language? We must fight to unite while appreciating and tolerating each other. in this country.
You have summoned the leaders who have come up with statements which can create divisions. I thank you for that approach, and I thank for the quick reaction towards such. But the areas where we need your quick response towards the same, but you act low. So, to this, as you are coming up with such an approach of quick response, don't you think it would be even proper to other areas where we need such? Like, we are seeing people who are missing this country. But when they approach your office, you create mixed reactions, and at the end, we get mixed reactions, and at the end, we misinterpret the commission because of the information you give to the public, which is contradicting. So I think with that approach, we also need such approach to where people are being either picked by drones and other areas, and with such a quick review. And two, you've told us about visiting places like prisons and what. Did you bother yourself or interest yourself to visit either military court where civilians Ugandans are? Because there are Ugandans who are suffering in court martial when they are civilians. So we also need such information on addition to that. Then the issue of complaints management. The complaints management. So as that desk receives such information from the public, how do those people get information back? Because you've been following the people, the missing people, when they are stating that they came to your desk and they were pushed to other areas. Then that one is also creating questions. So we want also to know your receiving desk with regards to information from the public. How do they do their things? The last one, you have stated also the loss of confidence from the public. Why do you think? So you can briefly tell us, why do you think people lose confidence in you? Because they must have had it before, and now they are going to lose it because of the approach or the way you are handling issues. So, and instead, we need also maybe to promote the commission's interest vis-a-vis the interest of the masses. But if the interest of the commissions are pushed at the forefront and the interest of the masses are not taken into consideration, I think you cannot trust you. But for this time, we agreed, I think previous time, that you are going also to prove that you are existing. So since now you are assuring members that you are existing, we also the side which is oppressed by either, we shall even have trust in you, and maybe then we shall also have an upper voice to join your interest. But if that is not the same, we shall be there also having questions on our hearts.
That he was arrested at 17 years and kept in prison with adults. Yet our laws are actually very clear. The minister, the line minister, has a duty and role to play to decide the fate of a young person when they are arrested. But also we have legislation in this country that demands that within 6 months this person must be attended to, and in case nothing is found within this person, within 12 months, the person should be set free. Arrested at 17, spends 9 years in prison, and we are very silent. What is the future of such people? And there are several of such persons in prisons. Why is it that the young people aged below 18 are taken to prison, which is in total contradiction with the provisions of our laws? Thank you.
Madam Chair, we are interfacing with the Constitutional Commission. Looked at the budget, what they got in the financial year 2022-23 is what they got in 2023-24, and we expect different results. And this committee has always recommended, colleagues, this is on record. If you look at our recommendations, we have always recommended as a committee to ensure that the commission is well facilitated to execute its mandate. For us who appear before the budget committee to defend the position of the committee, I must say that there is a deliberate move to frustrate the Human Rights Commission. Because when you're discussing, nobody wants even to hear about the commission. And then we are here pretending that we need results from the commission. This very financial year, when we appeared before the budget committee and we are putting a case for Human Rights Commission, I don't want to say what was said, but you can see the Minister of Finance is not even concerned. It was well funded and well facilitated. I'm sure they would have done that. They would have found out all those, but they are incapacitated. I'm sorry to appear as if I'm a spokesperson of the commission, but as a chairperson of this committee, I feel touched that every time the commission appears before us, we are seeing them doing the same thing and we expect results. Madam Chairperson, you want to come in? We see that the commission is well funded. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Problems with the funding of the Electoral Commission, and we had to have a meeting with the Ministry of Finance and put forward the funding requirements before them, and they were worked on. So where we find we are getting to a difficult situation, we do interface with them, which we can still do for you. So what was said was messages of support to the Commission, for which we are very grateful. On 3.76 billion shillings we requested for to enhance the welfare of our staff. It has, to answer your question very quickly, we have not yet got approval from Public Service Commission. We have written to them 3 times, more than 3 times. We have even tried to meet them face to face. And why I brought it here is so that we get a pronouncement from this committee. We shall submit by tomorrow, as soon as possible, by end of tomorrow. Honorable Sekitoreko, it is true we've been summoned on issues of hate speech, and I'm also addressing myself to Honorable Baka. I want to concede we've not done enough. It is not just enough to summon people, but there is a saying that a short woman touches where she reaches. When you've been given 23% of the basic budget you asked for, what can you do? How far do you go? When all you have is 400 million shillings a year to do investigations of complaints across the country, civic education. Actually, I've resorted to writing in the newspapers these days about like preaching against hate speech. I have, but even summoning some of those leaders has done something. One of them, a member of parliament, actually apologized to his constituency for the utterances he had made. Another member of parliament, when I summoned him, I must say he shocked me a bit. He came carrying me gifts. These gifts were 2 t-shirts, and the message on the t-shirts was, the Balalo must go. He came accompanied by his colleagues from this region, and because I summoned him after listening and watching the videos, and I feared what might happen. He was very defiant, and those are the gifts he left me with, really as a show of defiance. And but this is a very serious issue. We shall go ahead with it. I think on the missing people, here is a situation where you are informed. First of all, this parliament, Madam Chairperson, has a human rights committee, which has big resources. Unlike us, they inquired into this matter. I imagine they came up with a report of their findings. We issued ours. But Chairperson, when I appeared before that committee, a member of parliament, I think Honorable Nabukera Hanifa, told me that in her constituency of Mukono alone, more than 2,000 people had been abducted by security agencies and they were missing. That day I requested for particulars of those people. I requested for their names. I requested, if possible, for their mobile phone numbers, national identity card numbers. I requested for particulars of their next of kin. She promised me that by end of that day, I would get all those particulars. Today, Chairperson, I have never received them. I took the trouble to write to her a letter requesting for those particulars. I wrote another one, this time through her committee chairperson, Honorable Fox Odoi. I have never received particulars of even one person. Thereafter, the list which was presented to us by the Secretary General of the Honorable Secretary Records Party, it had not thousands of names, but 30 names. And when we made our report public, it is so interesting that my husband is missing, but the Human Rights Commission is following me everywhere. I don't want to talk to them. There are some who made us, actually to investigate that, I came with my investigator who led the investigation, Juliet there, whose life I even feared for, because they would tell her, Nze Yonavayo, I left Bugorobi, now find me in Kachiri. And she would go to Kachiri. And then this person refuses to pick her calls. And then when you use a different line, this person picks. And then she's asking you, but where exactly are you? I will find you there. So you wonder what is up her sleeves. So you tell her where you are. And she says, okay, I will come, I will find you there. And you stay there for hours. Someone tells you, my brother is missing. I'm at Kiseka Market. So you go to Kiseka Market and he says, find me in Chotera. I know I'm no longer in Kampala. So, and Chairperson, our entire budget for Kampala Regional Office for that period was devoted to looking for, honestly, what I considered non-existent people. Or some who exist actually today live in foreign countries. Others had never, out of the 30, 12 of them were out on bail. Others were out on police bond for some very serious crimes like terrorism, like malicious damage to public property, vandalization of electric wires. So when we reached them, they were so surprised that they appeared on that list of missing people, yet they lived in their homes. And we were also presented with people who were supposed to have been tortured by the UPDF. One of them called Eric Mwesigwa, who was presented before the media with horrible wounds on his chest, saying he had been burnt by UPDF soldiers because of supporting the National Unity Platform. When we interviewed Eric Mwesigwa at length, and later on what transpired, we were shocked. Eric told us the people who burnt him, it is so sad, the people who burnt him had promised him 50 million shillings. They were from the National Unity Platform. We were presented with a refugee woman from Congo who had been given Greek names, Alexandros Marinos. The allegation was this woman was presented at a press conference by women members of parliament who said she had been gang raped by UPDF soldiers for listening to music, imagine, music of the president of the National Unity Platform. And first of all, to even just get a statement from her was very difficult. She was always accompanied by at least 3 firms of lawyers who are men. We thought we would talk to her as a woman, but eventually we managed to speak to her, Honorable Chairperson. We discovered, one, she was not Greek. She is actually a Congolese refugee, and who had been promised a sum of money and a visa to Belgium to falsely accuse the army of gang rape. This one, we have the files. So, Honorable Chairperson, I don't know what credibility we can attach to these accusations. But since the Human Rights Committee of Parliament investigated that issue, I will request that that committee makes public their findings, and we see whether they are any different from ours. Honorable Chairperson, for me, unlike some members outside there, okay, I have been around for some time. I know what it feels when your family member goes missing. I come from an area where our bishop went missing towards the end of the 1970s. He was called Bishop Wasich, John Wasich. Up to date, we have never seen him. At one time, I lived in Buya, but near Bukorobi. Near this lady is called Mrs. Kalimuso, whose husband, a vice chancellor of the only university in Uganda, went missing. And he went missing forever. And she always moved with his photo, framed. She was moving like a mad woman in the markets, in Nakawa, in Mbuya, in Bukorobi. Please, whoever has any information leading to the recovery of his body, please. The wife of Bishop Wasich ran berserk because of that. When I see the behavior of the next of kin, who were provided to me by the National Unity Platform, I can't help but imagine this is drama. This is not how to behave when your husband is missing, when you make my officers move all over the place. We also did impromptu inspections as per our mandate of selected facilities around this region. This didn't happen. So, in my humble conclusion, none of those people provided for us on that list is missing, genuinely missing. No. From the